Nothing screams spring like that strawberry rhubarb combo. This cake is the perfect way to do it, and you can call on your very best skillet to bake it up. Recipe creator Tami Steggell says this cake shows off the gorgeous combo in the perfect spring way. It's great to see you.
Good to see
you. Now,
you.
rhubarb, a little tricky to come by. We are cutting it close for today.
It's a little early for Utah, but it is an April to June fruit.
Okay.
Or vegetable.
Vegetable.
It's a vegetable.
Yeah.
But it is strawberry season right now. We're entering strawberry season. So I wanted to feature those two things for spring to celebrate spring.
And go foodie on us. Why does strawberry and rhubarb so often end up in the same mouthful?
I think rhubarb is sour, like a sour apple.
Yeah.
And then strawberries are sweet. It's just a fun combo. You get that tart and sweet together.
And this is not your grandma's strawberry cake. You've taken this up a notch in several different ways.
Yes.
Okay, how do we start?
Okay, so the star of the show here is cornmeal. So you're thinking, is this cornbread? But no, it is actually a cake.
Okay.
So we're just putting flour, salt, and cornmeal together here in a dry mix.
I've got to step up my whisk game. Look at this. It's like an arm. It's like a whisk with an arm. You just don't, no flour is touching my fingertips. It's perfect. Okay.
And then I've made it subtly savory and sweet, so I'm adding a little bit of goat cheese here.
To the butter? What's going in?
To our creamed butter and sugar.
Okay.
And then I'm adding buttermilk.
Goat cheese and buttermilk.
Yes, and then the thing that the buttermilk and the goat cheese do is they add a little bit of an acid to help your cake rise.
Oh.
And then typically when you're doing a cake, you do all of your wet ingredients first,
right,
followed by your dry.
I mean, that's what they say.
And then what I've done here is I've separated out the eggs into 3 little dishes. It reminds me that I'm adding my eggs one at a time.
Okay.
So, and that's just going to let them emulsify into the cake.
I like how you space it out. That's a mental trick for your own good.
I do, yeah, because otherwise I forget and just dump them all in.
Sure. But you find that makes a difference in what texture?
It makes a difference in the emulsification. So emulsification is when 2 things suspend together that don't belong together, which is typically like oil and water, and eggs have a lot of water and butter has a lot of fat.
Okay.
So you're helping them emulsify together.
I can smell that vanilla
and
I
then
love it.
This cake, when it is baking, is so good.
Well, to smell it on the mixer stand, I mean, come on.
And then we're going to add that flour and cornmeal here into the batter.
Okay.
And then what you'll do is you'll put your skillet in the oven and you're going to preheat that skillet.
Why am I so in love with that whisk? Mine are so chubby and just...
I'm going to gift it to you.
No, don't do that. I'm not begging for a donation. I just think that's the cutest, coolest little tool.
So then you'll get your batter put together, and then be careful of this hot skillet. So normally we're going to heat this up in the oven.
Yeah.
Because you want to preheat your pan. And then we're going to add a pat of butter if you want to go ahead and add that. And then if you want to just turn that around a little bit.
Get it going. Now I'm scared because every time someone warns me of heat, I feel like I'm just begging to be burned at that point. We're good. We're fine.
All right, so we're going to add this batter to that skillet.
Right to the skillet. This is what we're going to bake it in, right?
Yes, and then that whole skillet is going to go into the oven at 350.
Where do the
just
strawberries
a standard.
come into play?
The strawberries and the rhubarb are going to go on top of this batter.
Okay, this is fun. This is recipe real time.
That butter is going to serve as your parchment paper. It won't stick. And then we're just going to add this.
And I should ask, why the skillet? Is that about even bake? Is that about?
Well, a skillet, in the early days and around the 1800s, we didn't have reliable ovens, so we had skillets and open fires.
Yeah.
And so that's how skillet cakes began.
Okay.
Now, if you want to just add the fruit here and then sprinkle a little bit of
all
this.
of it? Just
Go around, and then it'll bake up and kind of billow into the fruit.
I should have been more careful about my placement. Sorry, Tami.
Looks gorgeous.
Well,
You're pro.
Good enough. Story of my life. Good enough.
And then what's fun about this cake is so you have a little bit of the creaminess and sour from the goat cheese and the buttermilk.
Oh, I mean, think of all those flavors that you have layered in there, and that's granulated sugar? Coarse
this
sugar.
is a coarse raw turbinado sugar.
Ooh.
So it's got that.
I don't know what that means, but it sounds very fancy.
It means yummy.
The best translation comes down to the yum factor.
Okay,
This
so
is beautiful. Rhubarb, any tips for picking a good rhubarb, or is that a dumb question? I don't bake with rhubarb.
one thing you want to know about rhubarb is the leaves are very poisonous.
Oh.
So they're not an edible leaf.
Well, that feels important.
You can only eat the stalk. There'll
Yeah.
be any variety of color from green to bright red. And it's not bad if they're green. I just like them when they're red because I feel like they're prettier.
Yeah.
So here is another trick to this recipe. This is cream and vanilla bean
Okay.
that I have steeped in the refrigerator overnight.
Okay.
So I am just going to strain that out.
Is that rosemary?
It is rosemary.
So you put what was it, the cream and the?
It's vanilla bean and
Vanilla bean.
rosemary.
You steeped it overnight.
I steeped it overnight in the cream. So I just put the rosemary in the cream in the refrigerator.
Rosemary infused whipped cream? You stop it right now.
It is so good.
What?
And then we'll just give it a little whip.
Can you do that with any other?
You could do it with rose petals.
Oh my goodness.
You could do it with thyme. You can do it. One of my favorite ways to have whipped cream is just a little bit of cinnamon in it. And when I was a poor college student, that was my fake vanilla bean. I would just throw a little cinnamon, give it those specks.
I love it. I love it.
And then I always have these containers on hand, and then I just whip right in this container.
A little individualized portion.
This will give you enough for this whole skillet cake.
Okay, all right.
So, but I just like that, you know how sometimes when you're doing it in a bowl, it splatters everywhere?
Yeah.
Well, this has high enough sides, it doesn't splatter. And it's just my little secret
How
trick.
smart she is, the long skinny
So-
whisk. She's whipping her whipping cream in a container, a tall container with good side support. That's fantastic. And I always feel the science of whipped cream is so fun, isn't it? When it starts to
Yes.
Oh, it's just fun.
I like to stop short before it gets too stiff, so
Okay.
it's really extra creamy.
Oh, all these tricks
So-
and tips. Tami, thank you so much. This looks beautiful. Bakes up beautifully as well. The sugar on top is really lovely to look at, and I'm sure to eat as well. Where can we get more information about you and your recipes?
This will appear on bitemeindustries.com and Studio 5KSL website.
Well, thank you. We'll link you over to Bite Me Industries where you can see more of Tami's creative food genius. We love you. Thank you for sharing your
Thank
passion
you.
and your talent